Before we disappear into the tree line, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because the algorithm creates its own kind of visibility, and today, we are learning how to vanish from everything else. Imagine this. The grid hasn't just failed. It has turned against you. The silence of the forest is broken not by birds, but by the terrifying mechanical buzz of a drone hovering 300 feet above your head. You can hear the crackle of radios and the heavy, systematic crunch of boots closing a grid pattern a mile to your south. This isn't a hike, it is a hunt. And you are the prey. Most people in this situation make a fatal calculation. They believe survival is a track meet. They sprint for the high ground to see what's coming, or they dive into the deepest, darkest cave they can find. They rely on speed and obvious cover, and that is exactly why they get caught. You cannot outrun a radio signal. You cannot outhide a thermal camera in a cold cave that acts as a perfect contrast backdrop. If you try to play the athlete, you will die tired. Today, we are stripping away the fantasy of the lone wolf hero and replacing it with the physics of evasion. We are going to look at the common household items and behavioral shifts that turn you from a panicked runner into a ghost, solving the problem of modern surveillance by exploiting the one thing technology cannot fix: the laziness of the human brain. The first step in your transformation is rejecting the instinct to seek the perfect hiding spot. A cave is a trap. A high peak is a pedestal. Instead, you need to master the art of location through cognitive friction. Your destination isn't the beautiful clearing, it is the transitional zone. Look for the messy, irritating seam where two biomes meet, like where a patch of dense scrub oak crashes into a pine forest. This terrain is visually complex, physically annoying to walk through, and ugly. That is your armor. The human brain, even one trained for search and rescue, is designed to conserve energy. When a searcher scans a landscape, their eyes subconsciously slide off these messy, high-friction areas because the brain decides nothing is in there to save processing power. You aren't hiding behind a rock. You are hiding in a cognitive blind spot. By tucking yourself into the uncomfortable dip of a ravine filled with briars, you use the searcher's own psychology against them. They will walk right past you, convinced by their own laziness that the path of least resistance is the only path you could have taken. Once you are in position, you must dismantle the geometry of civilization that you carry on your back. Your tent, your tarp, your backpack. They are full of straight lines, perfect circles, and solid blocks of color. Nature does not produce perfect rectangles. If you pitch a standard dome tent, you are placing a geometric anomaly in a chaotic environment. You might as well light a flare. The solution requires a standard heavy-duty tarp and a pile of local debris. Do not pitch the tarp in an A-frame. That creates a distinct shadow line. Instead, stake it low and flat, barely 2 feet off the ground, and break up the outline. Use the object action magic protocol here. Take paracord and tie off bunches of local vegetation, ferns, branches, tall grass, directly to the guy lines and the tarp surface. You are creating pattern dissonance. You want to turn the solid shape of your shelter into a fuzzy, indeterminate blob that the eye cannot latch on to. The expert edge here is to look at your shelter from 20 yards away, squint your eyes, and see if the hard edges vanish. If you can still see a triangle, you are dead. In this silence, sound is not just noise, it is information. A metal buckle striking a carabiner creates a high-frequency clack that does not exist in nature. It travels further than a breaking twig. You need to sanitize your gear. Take that roll of duct tape or medical tape from your first aid kit and silence every metal-on-metal contact point. Wrap the zipper pulls on your jacket. Tape the buckles of your rucksack. But the gear is only half the equation. The other half is your movement. You need to adopt the fox walk. Most modern humans walk with a heavy heel strike, which sends a rhythmic thud through the ground and crunches dry leaves. You must reverse this. Roll your foot from the outside edge to the inside, testing the ground before you commit your weight. It is slow, agonizingly slow, but it eliminates the ground tremors that alert wildlife and the rhythmic crunch that alerts trackers. You aren't just moving quietly. You are moving without the cadence of a human being. Now we have to deal with the eye in the sky. Thermal imaging has changed the survival game, turning body heat into a beacon. You cannot block heat entirely, but you can scatter it. This is where that cheap, crinkly Mylar emergency blanket becomes a sophisticated shield. Do not wrap it around yourself. That traps heat and creates a human-shaped hotspot. Instead, you must suspend the Mylar blanket horizontally above your sleeping area, underneath a heavy canopy of natural foliage. This acts as a thermal mirror. The heat rising from your body hits the Mylar, reflects back down or scatters laterally, and the heavy leaves above absorb the rest. To a drone looking down, the sharp heat signature of a human is diffused into a meaningless, lukewarm blur that matches the surrounding ground temperature. The pro tip here is crucial. Create an air gap. If the Mylar touches your body, it conducts heat. Suspended, it reflects it. You are turning yourself into a cold rock. Fire is the ultimate betrayal in an evasion scenario. The light travels for miles, and the smell of wood smoke sticks to clothing and travels downwind, alerting canine units instantly. If you must boil water or cook, you cannot use an open campfire. You need to construct a Dakota fire hole. This involves digging 2 intersecting tunnels in the earth, a vertical chamber for the fire and a slanted airflow tunnel feeding into the base. This design is grounded in physics. The airflow sucks the smoke back into the fire, burning off the particulate matter that creates the visible plume. By keeping the fire below ground level, you eliminate the light signature entirely. But the expert survivor goes one step further. You burn only squaw wood, dead, dry branches snapped from the lower parts of trees, not damp wood from the ground. Dry wood burns hot and clean. If you can, avoid fire entirely. Eat cold rations. The psychological comfort of a fire is not worth the tactical cost of a smoke signal. Your biological signature is just as dangerous as your thermal one. We live in a world of artificial scents, deodorant, laundry detergent, toothpaste. To a search dog or even a human tracker, you smell like a chemical factory in a pine forest. You need to neutralize this immediately. Stop using anything scented 3 days before you think trouble is coming, but once you are in the field, you need an active mask. Take wood ash from your Dakota fire hole, mix it with a little water or mud to create a paste, and apply it to your exposed skin and clothes. Ash is carbon. It absorbs scent molecules. If ash isn't available, use the dirt from the forest floor. You are engaging in olfactory camouflage. You aren't trying to smell like nothing. You are trying to smell like the dirt and decay of the specific 10-foot area you are standing in. This confuses the scent cone that trackers use to zero in on your location. Finally, we must address the concept of the 60-second ghost. Your camp is not a home. It is a momentary pause in your movement. The biggest mistake preppers make is exploding their pack, spreading out sleeping bags, stoves, and clothes as if they are checking into a hotel. This creates a massive time debt if you are compromised. Your sleep system must be designed for archaeological invisibility. You sleep with your boots on or right next to your head. Your pack is packed, not empty. You use a bivy sack instead of a tent because it requires no setup. If you hear a twig snap, you should be able to roll up your bivy, shoulder your pack, and vanish in under 60 seconds. The goal is that if a tracker stumbles onto your spot 5 minutes later, they find nothing. No matted grass, no fire scar, no trash. You leave zero narrative behind. You were never there. Survival is not about buying the most expensive camouflage jacket or the biggest knife. It is about the complete submission of your ego to the reality of your environment. It is realizing that normalcy, the way we walk, the way we smell, the way we occupy space, is a liability. When you strip away the bright colors, silence the metal clicks, mask the heat, and hide in the ugly, difficult terrain, you stop being a target. You become a void in the data stream. Let's go back to that opening. Scenario. The search team sweeps through the woods. They are 20 feet from you. The drone buzzes overhead, its thermal eye scanning the forest floor. But you are in the transitional zone, under a thermal block, smelling like dirt, motionless in the shadows. The searcher's eyes slide right past the brush pile that conceals you because it looks just like every other brush pile. The drone sees only the cold leaves. The footsteps crunch closer, then pause, then fade away to the east. You don't. Jump up and cheer. You don't exhale until they are a mile gone. You haven't been rescued. You have done something far more important. You have remained free. You are no longer part of the system. You are the anomaly that the system cannot find. Stay hidden, stay silent, and tell me in the comments, would you choose the high ground or the deep brush?